Using your imagination as a kid seems so simple. And if you can hang on to that as an adult, man, you're going to go far.
Welcome to Once Upon a Playtime, a podcast from the Genius of Play for parents and their kids about the serious value of playing around. I'm Jennifer Lynch, your narrator, a play expert, and a new cool mom. Each episode, a fascinating guest will share with us how playing changed their life. And to make things more fun, we turned those interviews into a story time you can listen to by yourself or with your kids. Today's story is Nathan Kept Building, a true tale about the value of play at any age.
I'm Nathan Sawaya, and I'm an artist who works with Lego bricks. And this is something I've done for years now, where I've made a career out of doing large-scale sculptures using this childhood toy.
Once upon a playtime, long, long ago, the 1980s to be exact, a young boy named Nathan lived in a rural town in Oregon called Veneta. This was a tiny town of less than 3 miles, where the wildlife heavily outweighed the human population. There weren't many other children, so Nathan had to play by himself. Nathan played all kinds of ways. He liked climbing to the tops of trees. He liked kicking soccer balls. He liked coloring with colored pencils. Sometimes he would even play make-believe with his sister. But Nathan had a favorite way to play. Nathan loved to build.
I realized, Lego bricks could be anything I wanted it to be when I discovered that I didn't have to build what was on the front of the box. If I wanted to pretend to be a magician, I can build a top hat out of Lego bricks. If I want to be a rock star, I can build a guitar out of Lego bricks. And once I realized I could use this toy to create other toys, from then, it was an aha moment, really. It was like, wow, anything is possible at this point.
Nathan loved to build. Nathan built Lego characters and skyscrapers. When his parents didn't allow him to adopt a dog, he built one out of Lego. And without realizing it, Nathan also built his imagination. Research and reports show it helps a whole lot, because having free time to play helps build our brains.
When I was growing up, my folks were very accommodating. They let me have a 36-square-foot Lego city behind my couch in the living room, which made for a great conversation piece when the neighbors came by. Because, they're like, oh, how's your kid doing? He's still got that Lego city, I see.
The neighbors thought Nathan's Lego city was cute, but inconvenient. It sprawled across the floor. You see, part of being grown up is having opinions about interior design, which is why HGTV exists. They said, soon you'll be too old to play. In school, you'll put your toys away. But Nathan's mom and dad saw that Nathan was having fun and building his imagination. They said, Nathan, play away. So Nathan kept building.
I would use it in school for science projects. Oh, we're doing a project on wind? Well, I will build a windmill out of Lego then, thank you very much. We have a project on math and doing some calculation. Well, I will show you how that calculation works using all these individual Lego bricks. It became my backstop almost. It was something I could just say, okay, if I got a school project, I can always use this toy to illustrate the issue.
Nathan built projects for physics and calculus and geometry. And without realizing it, Nathan also built his creativity. Research and reports show it helps a whole lot. In fact, teenagers who combine play with learning are more motivated in school. The teachers thought that Nathan's Lego projects were fun but silly. No other children used toys in their homework. You see, part of being grown up is trying to fit in, which is why social media exists. They said, you're almost too old to play. In college, you'll put your toys away. But Nathan's parents saw that Nathan was having fun and building his creativity, They said, "Nathan, play away." So Nathan kept building.
I had Lego bricks under my dorm room bed in college. I had a small Lego version of my neighborhood on my desk in law school.
Nathan graduated from law school and became a lawyer at a big international firm. But he didn't really want to be a lawyer. It just seemed like the grown-up thing to do.
I graduated from college and, you have to make this choice after college of like, well, what's next? And there's some real societal pressures to become a professional and to pay off those student loans and become a professional and get a job. And I saw law school as a way to put off some of those decisions. But I wasn't happy as a lawyer. And after a few years, I really realized, I still had this passion of creating, of being an artist, and that's what led me back.
As soon as Nathan finished dealing with complicated contracts, tricky torts, and long-winded litigations, he would run home and start to build.
When I was a lawyer, I was practicing full days. I was a Wall Street lawyer. I was doing corporate law. And although I liked the people I worked with, I wasn't really happy. And I would find at the end of the day, I would need a creative outlet. I would come home at night and I'd want to create something. I would want to draw something. I'd want to paint something. I'd want to sculpt something. And I would sculpt out of traditional media like clay or wire, but I'd also sculpt out of strange things, fun things like bottle caps or candy. I did a lot of sculptures out of small pieces of candy. And sculpting out of candy is a lot like sculpting out of Lego in that you're using tiny pieces to put together these larger forms. It's additive sculpture. Sculpting out of candy is more delicious. But in the end, I just thought one day, well, what about this toy from my childhood, Lego bricks? Could I use Lego bricks to create sculpture? As a lawyer, I missed that creativity. I wasn't getting that creative juice that I had as an artist, and I really needed to focus on that because that's what I wanted to do. And that goes all the way back to my childhood, where I was creating with random toys.
The attorneys thought Nathan's Lego hobby was intriguing but strange. Playing with toys is for children. You see, part of being grown up is picking a respectable hobby. That's why golf exists. They said, "You are far too old to play. You better put your toys away." But Nathan thought about what his parents would say. He knew they'd tell him to play away. So Nathan ignored all those sensible grown-ups. And Nathan kept building. He built brilliant Lego sculptures of tables, phones, and books. And without realizing it, Nathan also built his talent. Research and reports show it helps a whole lot. In fact, it's proven that play increases motivation, resilience, and focus, 3 tools that every builder needs.
I was challenging myself to build things out of Lego that I could find in my apartment. That would be the challenge. I would come home and I'd be like, okay, there's an apple. Can I build an apple out of Lego? Okay, there's a baseball. Can I build a baseball out of Lego?
Nathan filled his apartment with Lego sculptures. They sprawled across the floor. And like any good grown-up, he cared about keeping things tidy. So he built a website to display all his beautiful art. He hoped that 1 or 2 people would want to take a sculpture home. But that's not what happened, not in the least.
And eventually my website crashed from too many hits. And I realized this is time to make a change.
People from all around the world saw the things that Nathan built. And they said, "We love the things you build when you play. Please don't put your toys away." So Nathan gathered up his imagination. He summoned his creativity. He called upon his talent. And Nathan built a new career.
I explained, I'm leaving the law to go play with toys full time. And surprisingly, my colleagues were a bit jealous. They were a little negative about it. They thought, you're leaving us? You're leaving us in the trenches? We're all in this together and you're going to go pursue your dream? How dare you? And then my bosses were just confused because I was leaving a very secure lifestyle to go play with toys.
Nathan built sculptures of every possible size. He built a life-size T-Rex that was nearly 20 feet tall. He built a Lego Wonder Woman, Conan O'Brien, and Venus de Milo. He even made a sculpture of Han Solo, frozen in carbonite. A single sculpture can use up to 100,000 Lego bricks. And Nathan builds each sculpture by himself, bit by bit. The things that Nathan builds have been seen around the world, from Amsterdam to Sydney, from London to New York. And all the fancy art curators say, "Thank goodness you're not too old to play. We hope you never put your toys away."
I keep thinking I'm going to retire, but there's always something else to build. There's so many bricks. I got 10 million in the studio. It's going to take a while to use them all up. For me personally, I don't think I'll ever stop playing with Lego. I think I'll always have that as part of my, creative outlet. And so 10 years from now, I'll probably just still be in a studio somewhere, doodling away, doing something creative. I've had conversations my whole life about, wow, you still into Lego? This toy has become a part of my life. I even have it tattooed on my arm at this point. So, yeah, I've had many conversations with folks questioning what I was doing. But, that's part of, making your own path and following, your passion and finding a way to be creative in something that you love.
When you let your kids play, you're helping them to build their own path. The strengths they develop when they engage with their toys are gifts that stick with them for the rest of their lives.
I know creativity and playing and being more creative is important in many different facets. We've seen it with kids who are exposed to art and do more creative art in school. They get higher test scores. They get higher graduation rates. And we know that creative therapy works, that it's therapeutic to do creative art. So what I'm getting at, I guess, is creating makes you happier. Creating makes you smarter. Creating makes you healthier. If those three things are true, then creating just makes you a better person.
So there you have it. Playful children become better people. And better people make the best grown-ups. And if nothing else, Nathan has taught us that one important lesson. Play isn't just for kids. It's for all ages. We all have creativity. It's not just something children do. So take note from Nathan and keep on building. Who cares what your neighbors, your teachers, your coworkers might say? You know what to do. Go out and play. Once Upon a Playtime is a production of The Genius of Play made in partnership with Frequency Media. This podcast was made possible by a generous grant from the Toy Foundation. Visit thegeniusofplay.org for fun play ideas, resources, and expert advice. Follow us at Genius of Play on Facebook and Instagram for daily inspiration and tips. I'm your host, Jennifer Lynch. Michelle Corey is our executive producer. Heidi Rootvotes is our producer. Scripting by Isabel Moncloa Daly and Jessica Olivier. Dialogue editing by Sydney Evans and sound design by Matthew Ernest Filler. This podcast is available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, and wherever podcasts are found. Thanks for listening.